Some places in America are forgotten for a reason, not because they are small or quiet, but because the land itself seems to breathe with something ancient and unsettled. These towns stand at the edge of forests, rivers, and mountains, untouched by time, wrapped in legends that people are too afraid to repeat. When the wind moves through their empty streets, it sounds like a voice calling for someone who never answers. When night falls, the silence becomes so heavy that even the animals refuse to cross through. Locals speak softly, if they speak at all, and visitors rarely stay long enough to ask the questions that everyone else avoids. Across the country, from the abandoned mining settlements of the West to the silent graveyard towns of the East, there are places where history never died. It stayed, it waited, and it grew darker with every passing year. These towns hold stories of vanished families, unexplained fires, phantom figures, and entire communities that seemed to crumble under an invisible weight. Travelers report cold spots that follow them, shadows that move without light, and strange sensations of being watched, even when the streets are completely empty. Some describe hearing footsteps in places where no one has walked for decades. Others recall a sudden feeling of dread, as if they had stepped into a memory that did not belong to them. Locals know these stories well, but they refuse to speak about them openly. They lock their doors before sunset, they draw their curtains tight, and they warn outsiders to do the same. Some families have lived with these secrets for generations, and they believe the towns require silence to remain at peace. But silence cannot hide everything. There are records, old maps, forgotten diaries, police files, and eyewitness accounts that reveal a truth far more chilling than any ghost story. These towns are not just haunted, they are trapped in a loop of fear that no one has fully explained. Every abandoned building, every cracked signpost, every overgrown path carries the weight of something that will not leave. If you have ever felt curious about the places you never see in travel guides, the towns that seem to vanish from the map, the places where even the bravest explorers hesitate to enter, then you are about to discover why. These 10 haunted towns are considered the most mysterious, the most dangerous, and the most unsettling places in America. They hold secrets that locals refuse to mention, secrets that have survived decades of silence, secrets that continue to haunt anyone who dares to walk their streets after dark. Once you hear what has happened in these towns, you might understand why so many people say the same thing. Some places are not meant to be visited, some towns do not want you there, and some stories follow you long after you leave. Haunted Town. Number 1. St. Augustine, Florida. St. Augustine, Florida is widely known as the oldest continuously occupied European settlement in the United States, but beneath its charming cobblestone streets and warm coastal atmosphere lies a much darker reputation. This town is considered one of the most haunted places in America, and its history is so filled with violence, survival, war, loss, and unexplained phenomena that many locals believe the town itself carries a permanent spiritual imprint. The deeper you walk into St. Augustine, the more you sense that the past is not gone. It simply lingers in every corner. The ghosts here are not occasional visitors. They are part of the town. St. Augustine was founded in 1565 by Spanish explorers, and its early years were marked by conflict, colonization, disease, pirate attacks, and brutal battles for control of the land. These events left behind an enormous spiritual weight, and many of the hauntings are believed to be connected to the countless lives lost during the town's turbulent history. People claim that the dead never truly left, especially in the places where their stories ended violently or tragically. Many supernatural hotspots in the area are so active that professional paranormal investigators describe St. Augustine as a magnet for spiritual energy. It is the kind of place where footsteps echo in empty hallways and shadows move even when there is no wind or light. One of the most famous haunted sites in the town is the St. Augustine Lighthouse. This tall structure stands on the coastline, where centuries of storms and shipwrecks have shaped the land. Visitors frequently report hearing the laughter of young girls who drowned during the construction of the original lighthouse. Their voices echo from the spiral staircase, and many people have seen small figures darting past them as they climb. Others have described a dark shadow at the top of the lighthouse, a figure that seems to watch, move, and disappear at will. Even workers at the site have admitted that they refuse to be inside the lighthouse alone at night. The atmosphere becomes heavy, cold, and unsettling, as if something is silently standing beside you. Another deeply haunted location is the Castillo de San Marcos, a massive stone fort that has stood for centuries. Built from crushed coquina shells and limestone, the fort served as a military stronghold, a prison, and a battlefield. Many soldiers died within its thick stone walls, and countless prisoners were held in damp, dark cells that still echo with their pain. Visitors have reported hearing phantom footsteps in the corridors, voices whispering from empty rooms, and sudden cold spots that feel like someone walking through you. Some tourists have even seen apparitions dressed in old Spanish uniforms, standing guard on the walls before vanishing into thin air. Many believe that the souls of the fallen soldiers remain trapped, repeating their duties long after death. St. Augustine is also home to the old jail, a structure that looks harmless from the outside, but hides a violent past. Built in 1891, the jail housed some of the most dangerous criminals of the time, and conditions inside were brutal. Inmates were subjected to beatings, isolation, starvation, and even unlawful executions. Many prisoners died in their cells, and countless more suffered extreme emotional and physical trauma. Today, the old jail is considered one of the most paranormally active buildings in the town. Visitors report hearing chains rattling, angry voices shouting from the empty cells, and heavy footsteps pacing the second floor. Some tourists feel a hand tug at their clothing or hear a whisper directly in their ear, even when no one is near them. The St. Augustine Cemetery adds another layer to the town's haunting reputation. The cemetery dates back to the early colonial period, and many graves belong to people who died in violent events, epidemics, or mysterious circumstances. People exploring the cemetery at dusk have seen glowing orbs floating between headstones, ghostly figures standing at the far end of the yard, and strange fog that appears out of nowhere. Some visitors claim that an unseen force follows them along the path. Others report hearing soft crying or footsteps crunching on the gravel, even when the cemetery is empty. Another deeply unsettling spot is the St. Augustine Old Wooden Schoolhouse. Many stories tell of children who died during outbreaks of disease, and some believe that their spirits still linger around the building. Tourists have reported seeing small faces appear in the windows, hearing giggles or footsteps behind them, and feeling a child-sized tug on their clothing. There are also claims of desks moving on their own and old classroom items falling without explanation. Beyond the well-known sites, nearly every corner of St. Augustine carries strange and unexplained energy. Many old inns and hotels have their own ghostly legends. Visitors frequently wake to the sound of someone walking in their room, only to open their eyes and find no one there. Doors open and close on their own. Glasses move across tables. Shadows cross hallways, Some guests report waking to see a figure standing at the foot of their bed, watching them silently before fading away. These encounters are so common that many hotel employees openly acknowledge the hauntings and warn guests not to be alarmed. Even the streets of the town seem alive with ghostly activity. People walking late at night have reported seeing a woman in a long dress wandering the sidewalks, only for her to vanish when they approach. Others describe smelling old perfume or cigar smoke in places where no one is present. It is said that certain streets become colder at night, as if the temperature drops the moment you step into a specific area. Locals say these are places where spirits frequently pass. What makes St. Augustine especially terrifying is not just the number of haunted locations, but the intensity of the paranormal energy. Many towns have ghost stories, but St. Augustine has consistent reports, repeated patterns, and countless eyewitness accounts. Paranormal teams who visit often leave with video evidence, audio recordings, and unexplained photographs that only confirm what locals have known for decades. St. Augustine is not just haunted, it is alive with spirits. Whether you walk along the bayfront, explore the oldest streets, or step into one of the historic buildings, you will feel the presence of something watching you. It is subtle at first, like a soft pressure in the air, but the longer you stay, the stronger it becomes. St. Augustine carries centuries of memories, both beautiful and tragic, and the spirits that remain seem unwilling to let go. For anyone seeking one of the most mysterious, unsettling, and paranormally active towns in America, St. Augustine, Florida, stands at the very top of the list. Its ghosts are not shy, its legends are not exaggerated, its history is not forgotten. Here, the past truly walks beside you. Number 2. Jerome, Arizona. Jerome, Arizona is one of the most mysterious and paranormally active towns in the United States, and its haunted reputation stretches far beyond the borders of the Southwest. Perched high on Cleopatra Hill, the town was once known as the wickedest town in the West because of its violent mining history, lawlessness, and constant tragedy. Today, Jerome is often called a ghost town, but not because it is abandoned. Its ghosts are literal. They walk the streets, linger in old buildings, and make their presence felt in almost every corner of the hillside. This town does not try to hide its darkness. It wears it proudly. Jerome began as a booming copper mining town in the late 19th century. At its peak, it was filled with miners, gamblers, prostitutes, criminals, and desperate workers who came hoping to strike it rich. The mines were dangerous, and accidents were common. Explosions, cave-ins, toxic gases, and collapses claimed the lives of hundreds of miners. Many bodies were never properly recovered, and some people believe their spirits still remain trapped, deep underground. The suffering of these workers created an energy that still hangs heavy over the town. The Jerome Grand Hotel is the most famous haunted building in the town. The hotel was once the United Verde Hospital, a place where miners who suffered severe injuries or illnesses were taken. Many of them died there, and the hospital was known for painful treatments and overcrowded conditions. When the building was converted into a hotel, guests immediately began reporting strange occurrences. People hear footsteps in empty hallways. Doors open and close on their own. Whispering voices echo through the rooms at night. Some guests have seen full apparitions of men in old-fashioned work clothes, and others have woken to the sensation of someone standing right beside their bed. The most unsettling reports come from those who stay in the old surgical and psychiatric areas of the building. Many describe the atmosphere as tense and suffocating. The energy feels like it is pressing down on them. Another notorious location in Jerome is the Connor Hotel. This hotel has burned down more than once, and each time, people died in the fires. Reports of paranormal activity here include objects moving on their own, sudden temperature drops, and the sound of furniture scraping across the floor. Guests hear voices speaking softly in their rooms, especially late at night. Some describe the feeling of a hand brushing against their shoulder when no one is there. The hotel embraces its haunted reputation, but even the staff admit that they refuse to go into certain rooms alone. The Spirit Room Bar is another hotspot for ghostly encounters. This bar was once part of a brothel, and many believe the spirits of former workers still linger. People have reported seeing a woman in a long dress walking through the bar and disappearing near the back wall. Others have felt unseen, hands tug at their clothing or brush against their hair. Glasses on the bar sometimes slide across the counter without being touched. Musicians who perform there say the lights flicker during certain songs, as if something is reacting to the music. The Jerome Sliding Jail is one of the strangest landmarks in town. Built on unstable ground, the jail slowly slid downhill over the years due to shifting soil and mining explosions. The jail is now far from its original location, but its haunted reputation remains. Visitors report hearing rattling metal, footsteps behind them, and the sound of distant screaming. Some people claim to see a ghostly figure pacing inside the empty building. Others feel a chill wrap around them, even during the hottest days. Jerome is also filled with abandoned mine shafts, tunnels, and collapsed structures. Locals say that many spirits remain trapped underground. People walking near old mine entrances sometimes hear knocking sounds coming from inside. Some hear the faint sound of voices calling for help. There are reports of lights flickering deep in the tunnels, even though there is no electricity. Some miners who worked in Jerome before the mines closed claimed that they would hear footsteps following them in the dark and see shadows moving along the tunnel walls. Many refused to go underground alone. One of the most unsettling areas is the old residential district, where many of the workers lived during the mining boom. Several houses are believed to be haunted by families who died from disease, mining accidents, or violence. People walking near these homes at night have reported hearing crying, coughing, and even the sound of children playing. Some have seen figures watching them from dark windows, but when they approach the houses, the figures vanish. Jerome's haunted history is not only tied to mining tragedies. Violence was common in the town's early years. Shootings, stabbings, poisonings, and unsolved murders were frequent. The town was filled with tension, greed, and desperation, and many violent deaths left behind restless spirits. These ghosts are said to wander the streets at night. Some appear as dark shadows. Others appear fully formed, but disappear when approached. Even the mountain itself seems to hold energy. People who hike the hillside around Jerome sometimes feel like they are being watched. Some describe sudden waves of sadness or dizziness. Others hear footsteps behind them, only to turn and find no one there. The name Cleopatra Hill often confuses visitors, but locals will tell you that the hill has a spirit of its own. It is a place where the line between the living and the dead feels thin. Despite its dark past, Jerome has a strange beauty. The town looks peaceful from a distance, with colorful buildings perched along the mountain slopes. But the closer you get, the more you feel the energy shift. There is something haunting about the silence between the buildings, the way the wind echoes through empty windows, and the feeling that the town is never truly still. Jerome does not hide its ghosts. It invites you to experience them. It is a place where history is alive, where the past breathes through the present, and where the spirits of miners, workers, and victims still walk among the living. Number 3. Centralia, Pennsylvania. Centralia, Pennsylvania, is one of the most haunting and mysterious ghost towns in America. And unlike other haunted locations that rely on tragic legends or restless spirits from the past, Centralia is haunted by something far older and far more relentless. The town is built on top of a fire that has been burning underground since 1962, a fire that transformed a once quiet mining community into one of the strangest and most dangerous places in the country. Centralia is a town that breathes smoke, a town where the earth groans and shifts, a town that feels alive even though almost no one lives there. It is a place where the line between the natural world and the supernatural blurs so completely that even scientists struggle to explain everything that happens beneath its cracked roads and steaming soil. Centralia was once a thriving coal mining town, filled with families, busy shops, and quiet suburban streets. For decades, the mines provided steady work, and the community flourished. But everything changed when a fire was accidentally ignited in an abandoned mine shaft beneath the town. The fire spread through the underground coal veins, feeding on oxygen pockets, burning deeper, hotter, and wider with every passing year. The ground began to heat up. Sinkholes began to appear. Smoke rose from the earth through cracks in the pavement. Poisonous gases leaked into homes. Residents grew sick. The air tasted metallic. The smell of sulfur became constant. As the fire grew, the government forced families to leave. Houses were demolished, streets emptied. The school closed, shops shut down. The church bells rang for the last time. Silence began to take over. But in that silence, the town did not die. Instead, it changed. It became something eerie and otherworldly, a landscape of shifting smoke, flickering heat, and unsettling calm. Today, only a handful of residents remain, refusing to abandon their homes, even as the fire continues to burn beneath their feet. Visitors who walk the abandoned streets describe a feeling unlike any other. The air vibrates with an unnatural warmth. The ground trembles slightly, as if something is breathing below. Steam rises from cracks in the asphalt, curling into the sky in thin white ribbons. Some visitors say the steam carries faint whispers, voices that sound like the echo of long-forgotten miners calling from underground. Others hear knocking sounds deep beneath the earth, as though someone is striking the mine walls from below. Scientists claim the noises are the shifting of rock layers, but those who visit Centralia often insist the sounds feel too deliberate, too human. One of the most famous and terrifying events occurred in 1981, when a young boy named Todd Domboski fell into a sinkhole that suddenly opened beneath him. The hole was filled with toxic fumes and burning gases. He would have died within seconds if his cousin had not pulled him to safety. After that incident, residents began reporting more strange occurrences. People saw glowing cracks in the road at night. Drivers claimed dark figures walked in the smoke before vanishing suddenly. Some said they heard the sound of miners coughing, shouting, or striking pickaxes in the distance. Others described seeing shadowy silhouettes standing along abandoned highways, watching silently before dissolving into the mist. The former Route 61, known as Graffiti Highway, became one of the eeriest parts of Centralia. The road buckled and split from the heat below, creating jagged openings that released steam. Visitors reported hearing footsteps behind them when no one was there. Some heard low voices whispering their names. A few described seeing figures walking beside the road, only for those figures to fade into the haze before they could be fully identified. The highway has since been covered and closed off, but those who walked it before insist it was one of the most unsettling places in Pennsylvania. Local legends say Centralia is haunted by the spirits of miners who died in earlier accidents, long before the fire started. Mining tragedies were common in the area, and dozens of miners lost their lives to explosions, collapses, and toxic fumes. Some families believe the fire awakened something buried deep in the earth, something that was never meant to be disturbed. Others say the fire created a gateway, a thin place where the world of the living and the dead overlap more easily. Whether the ghosts are old or whether the fire created them, the town is filled with stories of spectral activity. Residents claim to see strange lights moving across the hills at night. Figures appear on porches of burned-out houses. Some hear footsteps walking across their floors, even though they live alone. A few report being tapped on the shoulder when no one is near. The most unsettling accounts involve voices that call from underground. The voices are often muffled, distant, and sometimes pleading. People describe hearing their names spoken softly from beneath the soil. Even the strongest skeptics admit that Centralia feels wrong, as if something ancient watches from below. Walking through the town today feels like moving through a world frozen between life and death. Vegetation has grown wild, covering what used to be perfectly organized neighborhoods. Entire blocks are gone, replaced by empty grasslands and scattered foundations. Telephone poles stand with no wires. Roads lead nowhere. Nature has reclaimed everything except the fire. The fire continues. The smoke continues. And the feeling of being watched continues. Centralia is not haunted in the traditional sense. It is haunted by fire, by tragedy, by abandonment, and by the countless lives that were uprooted. But there is also something deeper, something inexplicable, something that gives visitors the sense that the town itself is alive and aware. People leave Centralia feeling shaken. The silence clings to them. The sulfur smell lingers. The memory of the heat beneath their shoes stays with them for years. Centralia stands as a reminder that the earth itself can haunt a place. It shows that ghosts are not always the spirits of the dead. Sometimes they are the echoes of disaster, the memories of suffering, and the unsettling presence of something that refuses to rest. Centralia is one of the strangest and most terrifying towns in America, and even though it is nearly empty, it feels more alive than many cities filled with people. Number 4. Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Eureka Springs, tucked deep in the Ozark Mountains of Arkansas, looks like it was lifted straight out of an old storybook, with its winding Victorian streets, steep hills, and charming historic homes. But beneath its picturesque surface lies a town wrapped in whispers, ghostly encounters, and unexplained mysteries that locals rarely speak openly about. Eureka Springs has long been considered one of the most haunted towns in the South, thanks to its strange history, eerie architecture, and the lingering energies of people who lived and died there. The town's unsettling atmosphere begins with its foundation, as it was originally built around natural springs believed to have magical healing powers. Thousands of sick travelers once flocked here seeking cures, and not all of them survived. For many people, this is where the strange presence that hangs over the town first began. Eureka Springs is most famous for its two haunted landmarks, the Crescent Hotel and the Basin Park Hotel, both of which have shaped the town's ghostly identity for more than a century. The Crescent Hotel, often called America's most haunted hotel, stands grand and imposing above the town. Built in 1886, it has served many purposes, including a luxury resort, a women's college, and eventually a cancer hospital in the 1930s. This last chapter in the building's history is where the stories turn darkest. Norman Baker, a fraudulent doctor who claimed he could cure cancer, ran the hotel as a medical facility where desperate patients came seeking hope. Treatments were little more than torture, and many died within its walls. Today, guests report shadowy figures in the hallways, sudden drops in temperature, disembodied voices, and the feeling of being watched. Rooms 218 and 419 are especially known for their activity, with some visitors reporting full-bodied apparitions that vanish into thin air. Down in the heart of town, the Basin Park Hotel carries its own set of secrets. Built on land that has seen fires, rebuilding, and countless visitors over the years, the hotel has become a hotspot for paranormal reports. People often claim to hear footsteps in empty corridors, see orbs floating through the air, and feel invisible hands brushing their skin. Some say the spirits here are tied to the town's rowdy history, when the area around Basin Park was a gathering place for gamblers, drifters, and outlaws. Others believe the hotel's strange structure, built into the steep mountainside, traps energy that refuses to leave. But the haunting of Eureka Springs goes beyond individual buildings. The entire town feels like a maze of hidden stories and lingering spirits. Many streets are so narrow and curved that sound travels in unexpected ways, making footsteps echo where no one is walking, and voices bounce off stone walls long after the speaker has gone. Walking through the historic district at night feels like stepping into another century, with the iconic Victorian homes casting long shadows and the gas lamp glow of old-fashioned streetlights illuminating empty sidewalks. Locals say that if you stroll too quietly, you might hear the whispers of the people who once lived there, but never fully left. Another piece of Eureka Springs' eerie puzzle is its underground tunnels. Much of the town is built on sloping terrain, and over time, streets were raised to prevent flooding. This left behind a network of tunnels beneath the city, some of which are still accessible through tours or hidden doorways in certain shops. These old passageways were once used for everything from storing goods to running secret businesses, and they are believed to house some of the town's most restless spirits. Some visitors have reported hearing heavy footsteps behind them in the tunnels, only to turn and find nothing there. Others describe sudden bursts of cold air or the feeling of someone breathing on their neck. Even the natural features of Eureka Springs contribute to its haunted reputation. The forests surrounding the town are dense and unusually quiet at night, with fog often rolling in thick and low, creating silhouettes that play tricks on the eyes. Some hikers claim they have seen ghostly figures standing between the trees or felt the sensation of being followed, only for the presence to disappear as soon as they step back into town. The springs themselves, once believed to have healing powers, now seem to carry an energy that some describe as peaceful, but others find unsettling. Many say that the water still holds memories, especially from the days when desperate patients traveled from far and wide hoping for a miracle. Cultural events and ghost tours have grown popular in Eureka Springs, but even with all the tourism, locals are careful about what they share. Many residents have personal stories of unexplainable things happening in their homes or workplaces, yet they often avoid discussing them openly. Some believe that talking about the spirits draws them closer, while others simply don't want to attract curious outsiders to their private experiences. When conversations do happen, they are usually whispered, brief, and always with a sense of caution. Despite its ghostly reputation, Eureka Springs is not a place of fear, but rather a strange blend of beauty and mystery. The town's charm draws thousands of visitors every year, and many leave fascinated by its secrets. But anyone who stays long enough quickly realizes that Eureka Springs is filled with layers that go far deeper than its colorful buildings and peaceful mountain scenery. Shadows stretch a little longer here. History feels a little closer, and the boundary between the living and the dead seems unusually thin. Whether you are exploring its haunted hotels, walking through its quiet streets at midnight, or simply taking in the silence of the Ozark Forest, Eureka Springs carries an energy that lingers with you even after you leave. It is a town shaped by its past, soaked in mystery, and alive with stories that refuse to fade. And while tourists come seeking thrills, the locals know that some secrets are better left alone, hidden in the misty hills and whispered only in the dark. Number 5. Bawdy, California. Bawdy, California is a town frozen in time, a ghost town where the echoes of the past seem to linger in every creaking floorboard and cracked window. Nestled in the high desert of the eastern Sierra Nevada, Bawdy once thrived as a booming gold mining town in the late 1800s. Today, it is preserved in a state of arrested decay, meaning the buildings remain standing, but nature and time have slowly claimed them. Walking through Bawdy is like stepping directly into the pages of a history book, but with a palpable sense of unease, as if the spirits of those who lived and died here still roam the dusty streets. The town's history is steeped in violence, greed, and tragedy, and those dark stories are what make Bawdy so notorious among paranormal enthusiasts. Life in Bawdy was harsh and unforgiving. Miners and settlers battled not just the harsh winters, but also lawlessness, disease, and sudden deaths from mining accidents. Shootouts, murders, and mysterious disappearances were common, and many people were buried hastily without proper ceremony, leaving restless spirits behind. Visitors today often report hearing the sounds of ghostly footsteps echoing in the empty saloons, faint cries and laughter drifting through abandoned homes, and doors opening and closing by themselves, as if invisible residents are still moving through the town. Among Bawdy's most haunted locations is the old schoolhouse, where some claim the laughter and footsteps of children can still be heard. Others report seeing shadows moving past windows and doors, even though the buildings are empty and abandoned. The Bawdy Hotel is another hotspot, with countless accounts of doors slamming on their own, furniture moving inexplicably, and the sensation of unseen presences brushing past visitors in narrow hallways. Some even claim to have felt icy drafts and sudden chills, as if the very air carries the weight of the many souls who once inhabited the town. Even outside of the buildings, Bawdy's streets carry an eerie energy. The wind whistling through broken windows and between rotting wooden structures often sounds like whispered voices. At night, the full moon casts long shadows across the deserted streets, giving the town an otherworldly, almost surreal appearance. Hikers and photographers who come seeking the perfect shot frequently report strange phenomena: glowing lights in the distance, figures appearing briefly at the edges of vision, and the unmistakable feeling of being watched. Bawdy's reputation as a haunted town is so strong that the National Park Service, which manages the Bawdy State Historic Park, often receives reports from visitors who are too frightened to continue exploring certain buildings. Paranormal investigators claim that electronic devices often malfunction, and cameras capture unexplained orbs, streaks, and shadows. Many believe that the town's long history of suffering and sudden death has left an imprint on the environment itself, creating a persistent sense of unease that no explanation can fully dismiss. Ghost stories from Bawdy are passed down through generations of locals, many of whom claim to have personal encounters or experiences. Some recount seeing the apparitions of miners trudging through the snow still carrying the tools of their trade, or saloon patrons lingering in the corners long after the last drink has been poured. Others speak of hearing the faint echo of piano music in empty buildings, footsteps pacing the long hallways, and even the sound of horse-drawn carriages in streets where no horses remain. Despite the fear that Bodhi inspires, there is also a strange fascination that draws people from all over the world. Photographers, historians, paranormal investigators, and curious tourists come to walk the streets, peer through shattered windows, and try to capture a glimpse of the invisible residents said to linger here. While the town is preserved as a historical site, many admit that it feels alive in a way that goes beyond its physical structures. There is a presence, a lingering energy that seems to watch every step, whispering reminders of the lives once lived and lost in this harsh, remote landscape. Bodhi serves as a chilling reminder that the past is never truly gone. The town's empty buildings, weathered facades, and desolate streets tell the story of ambition, struggle, and tragedy. But they also tell another story, one of spirits, memories, and unresolved energy that refuses to fade. Visitors are cautioned to tread lightly, as the town is said to react to both fear and curiosity, amplifying the eerie sensations for those sensitive to its haunted history. In the end, Bodhi is more than just a ghost town. It is a monument to human endurance, a witness to the triumphs and failures of those who lived and died there, and a chilling haven for the paranormal. Whether you are a skeptic or a believer, stepping into Bodhi is an unforgettable experience. Every building, every street, every shadow seems to hold a story, and many of those stories are whispered by the ghosts who remain. Even long after you leave, the memory of Bodhi's haunting presence lingers, a subtle reminder that some places are never truly abandoned, and that the past can reach out to the present in the most unsettling ways. Number 6. Galena, Illinois. Galena, Illinois is a picturesque town nestled in the rolling hills of the northwest corner of the state. But beneath its charming streets and historic brick buildings lies a dark and haunting past. Known for its well-preserved 19th century architecture and vibrant Main Street, Galena was once a thriving mining and river town, attracting settlers, traders, and entrepreneurs seeking fortune. However, alongside its prosperity came tragedies, mysterious deaths, and violent incidents that have left lingering spirits roaming the town's cobblestone streets and historic homes. The town's most infamous hauntings are tied to its historic residences. One of the most notable is the Dowling House, where visitors report cold spots, the sound of footsteps echoing through empty hallways, and furniture moving on its own. Many claim to have seen shadowy figures standing at windows or wandering the rooms at night, as if replaying moments from their past lives. Locals speak of a restless presence that watches guests with unseen eyes, sometimes accompanied by faint whispers or eerie laughter that seems to come from nowhere. Another hotspot is the Frenchtown neighborhood, where several 1800s-era homes have gained notoriety for supernatural activity. The townspeople tell stories of doors opening and closing without explanation, lights flickering even when electricity is off, and the feeling of being followed when walking alone at night. Some even report hearing disembodied voices calling out names or pleading for help, echoing the long history of struggle and misfortune that befell early residents. Galena's historic downtown is not immune to ghostly tales either. Several buildings, now repurposed as restaurants, shops, and inns, are said to retain the memories of tragic events. Patrons at certain establishments have reported chairs moving slightly, glasses sliding across tables, and sudden drops in temperature accompanied by the sensation of invisible hands brushing against their arms. Many visitors feel an overwhelming sense of unease, as if the walls themselves are keeping watch over everyone who enters. The town's cemeteries add another layer to its haunted reputation. Cemeteries, such as Greenwood Cemetery and St. Michael's Cemetery, are often the subject of chilling encounters. Witnesses speak of apparitions emerging from the mists, shadowy figures between gravestones, and unexplained lights that dance across the grounds. The combination of historical tragedies, unmarked graves, and the heavy weight of centuries-old loss creates an atmosphere that few can ignore. Those who have dared to explore these cemeteries at night often leave with stories of cold gusts, fleeting shadows, and the unshakable feeling that they were never truly alone. Local legends also tell of tragic events that continue to influence the town's supernatural landscape. Stories of sudden deaths, mining accidents, and mysterious disappearances have been passed down for generations. Some residents claim to hear the cries of miners long after the last pickaxe has struck stone, and others report seeing apparitions of women in period dress, standing at windows or along empty streets, silently mourning lives cut short. Even the town's inns and bed and breakfasts carry eerie reputations. Guests at historic accommodations frequently report waking in the middle of the night to the sensation of being watched, hearing footsteps on the creaky wooden floors, and seeing fleeting shadows cross the room. Many describe doors opening slowly by themselves, or lights flickering unexpectedly, often accompanied by a palpable chill. Paranormal investigators who have visited Galena consistently note high levels of unexplained activity, including electronic disturbances, sudden temperature drops, and EVP recordings of disembodied voices. The U.S. Grant home, once the residence of President Ulysses S. Grant, has also been the site of several paranormal reports. Visitors claim to hear footsteps and faint conversations, even when no one else is present. Some have even reported seeing fleeting images of people dressed in 19th century attire, moving through the halls, as if the past is replaying itself for those who are sensitive enough to notice. Galena's history is rich with tales of tragedy and mystery, which is likely why its haunted reputation is so enduring. From historic homes to cemeteries, from inns to the downtown streets, the spirits of Galena seem to have left an indelible mark on the town. Many residents have embraced the haunted reputation, offering ghost tours that highlight the most active and chilling locations. These tours often feature first-hand accounts from locals who have experienced unexplained events, providing an immersive experience that is both fascinating and unsettling. Visitors often speak of an uncanny feeling that permeates the town, a sense that the past and present are intertwined in an almost tangible way. Some feel they are being watched as they walk through the streets, while others report seeing figures that vanish when approached. The stories of Galena's haunted locations are not merely tales for tourists. They are a reflection of a long and complex history filled with human suffering, ambition, and unresolved spirits. Whether it is the creaking floorboards of a historic inn, the chilling silence of an abandoned home, or the mist-shrouded gravestones of an old cemetery, Galena, Illinois offers a haunting experience unlike any other. Visitors are warned to tread carefully, to respect the spaces, and to be mindful that some presences are not easily seen, but can be strongly felt. For those drawn to the supernatural, Galena is a town that refuses to be ignored, a place where history and the paranormal collide in ways that are both intriguing and terrifying. Galena serves as a reminder that even in small, seemingly peaceful towns, the echoes of past lives, tragedies, and untold stories can remain long after the last inhabitant has passed. The town's haunted reputation is well earned, and its chilling energy continues to draw visitors seeking both adventure and the unexplained. Whether you are a skeptic or a believer, a trip to Galena is a step into a living ghost story, one that lingers in memory long after you leave, a testament to the town's enduring mysteries and spectral residents. Number 7. Deadwood, South Dakota. Deadwood, South Dakota is a town that almost seems frozen in time, its wooden sidewalks and Wild West facades giving visitors the feel of stepping back into the late 1800s. But beneath the saloons, casinos, and historic buildings lies a darker, more sinister side that few dare to explore. Known for its violent past during the Gold Rush era, Deadwood was a lawless town where gunfights, murders, and sudden deaths were an everyday occurrence. These tragic events left a lasting mark, and locals insist that the restless spirits of those who met untimely ends continue to haunt the town to this day. Walking through Deadwood, it is easy to imagine the chaos of its early days. The town's streets, once bustling with miners, gamblers, and outlaws, are now filled with tourists, yet the energy feels different. Some say that even in broad daylight, there is an eerie sensation that the past is watching. Many of the historic buildings, particularly the saloons and hotels, have been preserved, and they are hotspots for paranormal activity. Guests and staff have reported sudden drops in temperature, objects moving without explanation, and ghostly apparitions appearing in mirrors or dark corners. One of the most haunted locations in Deadwood is the Bullock Hotel, named after Seth Bullock, the town's first sheriff. Visitors claim to hear footsteps echoing along empty hallways, doors opening and closing on their own, and the faint sound of voices from rooms where no one is present. Guests frequently report waking in the middle of the night to cold gusts of air or the sensation of being watched. Some have even captured EVP recordings of whispering voices, adding to the hotel's eerie reputation. Another famous site is the historic Adams House, where travelers and paranormal investigators alike have experienced strange occurrences. Reports include lights flickering unexpectedly, shadowy figures appearing in windows, and disembodied sounds that cannot be explained. Many believe that these spirits are tied to the house's long history of deaths and tragedies, including murders and sudden illnesses, creating a lingering presence that refuses to leave. Deadwood's cemeteries also carry a haunting legacy. Mount Moriah Cemetery, resting on a hill overlooking the town, is the final resting place of famous figures such as Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane. Visitors often report feeling a heavy, oppressive atmosphere while wandering among the gravestones, with some seeing apparitions or hearing ghostly voices. On foggy nights, locals say the mists themselves seem alive, swirling around graves and tombstones, enhancing the town's otherworldly ambiance. Even the streets of Deadwood are not immune to paranormal reports. Locals and tourists alike have seen shadowy figures darting through alleyways or standing silently at windows of historic buildings. Some claim to hear gunshots and screams, echoes of the town's violent past, and others feel sudden chills, as if someone or something has brushed past them. The combination of the town's history, architecture, and lingering energy makes it a hotspot for supernatural encounters. Many saloons and casinos, now converted into bustling establishments, still hold the residual energy of those who perished during Deadwood's rough and tumble days. Patrons sometimes report glasses moving, chairs tipping over, and cold spots that appear without explanation. Paranormal investigators often find electronic anomalies, such as malfunctioning equipment or strange readings, which suggest that some spirits continue to interact, with the living world. Stories of haunted hotels, like the Deadwood Gulch Resort, include sightings of figures dressed in period attire, wandering hallways and rooms. Some guests have reported hearing conversations or music from the past, only to discover that no one else is present. The town's historic architecture, narrow streets, and preserved wooden buildings create the perfect setting for these unsettling experiences. Deadwood's dark past is deeply intertwined with its present, and the stories of ghosts are inseparable from the town's identity. Gunfights, mining accidents, and murders have left an indelible mark, ensuring that the spirits of the past are never far away. For those willing to explore its haunted locations, the town offers a chilling glimpse into history, where the boundary between the living and the dead seems thinner than anywhere else. Visitors are advised to tread carefully, respect the historic sites, and remain aware of their surroundings. The spirits of Deadwood are unpredictable, and many who have come seeking adventure or paranormal thrills have left with stories of strange encounters, eerie sensations, and unexplained phenomena. The town's reputation as one of America's most haunted destinations is well-deserved, attracting ghost hunters, historians, and curious travelers alike. Deadwood, South Dakota, is more than just a historic town. It is a living museum of America's wild frontier, filled with secrets, tragedies, and restless spirits. The echoes of the past resonate through its streets, saloons, and cemeteries, creating an atmosphere that is both captivating and unnerving. Whether you are a skeptic or a believer, a visit to Deadwood offers a spine-chilling experience that leaves an impression long after you have departed. Number 8. Port Townsend, Washington. Port Townsend, Washington is a coastal town steeped in Victorian charm, its streets lined with ornate historic buildings, grand old hotels, and waterfront warehouses. On the surface, it seems like the perfect picturesque destination for tourists and history lovers alike. Yet beneath its quaint exterior lies a chilling reputation. Known for its haunted past, Port Townsend has long been a magnet for ghost stories and paranormal activity that continues to captivate and terrify locals and visitors alike. The town's history is woven with tales of sudden deaths, tragic accidents, and mysterious disappearances. Port Townsend was a bustling port in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, and its docks, warehouses, and hotels witnessed both prosperity and tragedy. It was a town where the hard lives of sailors, loggers, and merchants often ended abruptly, leaving behind restless spirits that many claim still roam the streets and buildings. One of the most haunted sites in Port Townsend is the Rose Theater, a historic building that has hosted countless performances, gatherings, and events over the decades. Patrons and employees alike have reported hearing unexplained footsteps backstage, disembodied voices in empty hallways, and the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Some have even seen shadowy figures flit across the theater, disappearing before anyone can confront them. The Rose Theater's long history of tragedies, including fatal accidents during performances and unexplained illnesses, seems to have left a permanent spiritual imprint. Another hotspot for paranormal activity is the Manresa Castle, a Victorian mansion turned historic hotel. Guests have shared terrifying accounts of cold drafts in rooms with no open windows, objects moving on their own, and mysterious knocks on doors in the dead of night. Many claim to have encountered ghostly apparitions dressed in period clothing, wandering the halls silently, sometimes staring directly at them before vanishing. Some paranormal investigators suggest that the spirits are former residents who cannot rest, still bound to the house by the events of their lives and deaths. The historic hotels of Port Townsend such as the Palace Hotel and Swan Hotel, are also infamous for ghostly activity. Visitors frequently report hearing piano music drifting from empty ballrooms, doors opening and closing by themselves, and lights flickering inexplicably. Some have seen ghostly figures sitting in old rocking chairs, only to vanish when approached. These encounters have been documented for decades, creating a chilling reputation that attracts ghost hunters and thrill seekers from across the country. Port Townsend's cemeteries are no less eerie. The Sunset Hills Cemetery, perched on a hill overlooking the town, is said to be haunted by spirits who have not moved on. Locals speak of hearing whispers among the gravestones, seeing shadowy figures wandering at night, and feeling sudden drops in temperature that cannot be explained. On foggy nights, the mist seems to take on a life of its own, curling around the graves and creating a sense that the town's past is reaching out to the living. Even the streets of Port Townsend hold a supernatural presence. Tourists have reported seeing figures in old-fashioned clothing, moving silently along the sidewalks, hearing distant cries and laughter, or catching glimpses of shadows that vanish when approached. Many believe these phenomena are echoes of the town's bustling maritime past, when sailors and townsfolk lived and died in a world fraught with danger and hardship. The waterfront area of Port Townsend is particularly notorious. The docks, once alive with activity, now seem haunted by the spirits of sailors and laborers who perished in accidents or vanished mysteriously. People walking along the piers have reported hearing ghostly footsteps, seeing spectral ships or figures in the fog, and experiencing an overwhelming sense of dread. Local legends suggest that these spirits are drawn to the energy of the waterfront, reliving their final moments over and over again. For those willing to explore, guided ghost tours of Port Townsend offer spine-chilling experiences, taking visitors through historic buildings, abandoned warehouses, and shadowed alleyways. Tour guides recount tales of hauntings that are supported by first-hand accounts, photographs, and EVP recordings, giving travelers a glimpse into the town's darker side. Many who take these tours report feeling cold spots, hearing unexplainable noises, or even seeing apparitions that defy logic. Port Townsend is a town where history and hauntings intertwine, creating an atmosphere that is both fascinating and terrifying. Its historic buildings, waterfront, and cemeteries are filled with stories of tragedy, unfinished business, and restless spirits. The town's haunted reputation is well-earned, drawing paranormal enthusiasts, curious travelers, and skeptics alike who are eager to experience its eerie charm firsthand. Visitors are advised to tread carefully, respect the historic sites, and be prepared for the unexpected. The spirits of Port Townsend are unpredictable, appearing at any time and in any place, making each encounter unique. Whether you are a believer in the supernatural or simply intrigued by the town's haunted history, a visit to Port Townsend promises a chilling, unforgettable experience. In the end, Port Townsend, Washington, is more than a scenic coastal town. It is a place where the past never truly dies. The spirits of sailors, settlers, and long-departed townsfolk linger among the Victorian architecture, foggy streets, and historic piers, creating a palpable sense of the supernatural. For those brave enough to wander its haunted corners, Port Townsend offers a hauntingly immersive journey into history, mystery, and the unexplained. Number 9. Savannah, Georgia. Savannah, Georgia, is often celebrated for its charming cobblestone streets, sprawling oak trees draped with Spanish moss, and beautifully preserved antebellum architecture. At first glance, it seems like a quaint southern city, perfect for leisurely strolls and historic tours. Yet beneath this picturesque surface lies a dark and chilling reputation. Savannah is widely regarded as one of the most haunted cities in the United States, a place where the past lingers in ghostly forms, and paranormal activity is woven into the very fabric of the city. Its streets, historic homes, and graveyards are rife with stories of restless spirits, tragic deaths, and unexplained phenomena that continue to captivate and terrify visitors and locals alike. The city's haunted history is deeply rooted in its tumultuous past. Savannah was founded in 1733, and over the centuries it has witnessed wars, epidemics, murders, and countless untimely deaths. Many of the ghosts that reportedly haunt the city are tied to these tragic events, lingering in homes, inns, and public spaces where they lived and died. Visitors to Savannah often report eerie encounters, from cold spots and sudden chills to full apparitions and ghostly whispers that seem to come from nowhere. One of Savannah's most infamous haunted locations is the Wright Square area, the city's oldest square. It is said to be haunted by the restless spirit of an enslaved man, a Confederate soldier, and other souls whose lives ended tragically. People walking through the square at night report hearing mysterious footsteps, low murmurs, and seeing shadows darting between the moss-covered trees. Some claim to have seen ghostly figures in old-fashioned clothing, standing silently as if observing the living. These paranormal occurrences have been documented for decades, attracting ghost hunters and thrill seekers who are eager to experience the city's haunted energy firsthand. The Sorrel Weed House, built in the early 1800s, is another hotspot for ghostly activity. Considered one of the most haunted homes in Savannah, it has a long history of tragedy and supernatural sightings. Visitors and paranormal investigators have reported seeing apparitions of former residents, hearing disembodied laughter, and witnessing objects moving without explanation. The house is said to hold the spirits of individuals who met violent or untimely deaths, and some claim that these spirits continue to replay the events of their final moments. Many ghost tours in Savannah include the Sorrel Weed House, offering chilling experiences to those brave enough to step inside. Savannah's Bonaventure Cemetery is world-renowned not only for its beauty, but also for its hauntings. Lush greenery and intricately carved tombstones create a serene atmosphere by day, but by night, the cemetery is said to come alive with supernatural energy. Visitors often report seeing ghostly figures walking among the graves, hearing faint weeping or footsteps, and feeling sudden drops in temperature. One of the most famous tales involves a woman in white, believed to be a spirit who mourns a lost love. Her presence has been reported multiple times, appearing near specific graves and vanishing without a trace. The cemetery's long history, combined with its striking visual appeal, creates a setting that is both beautiful and terrifying. The Hamilton Turner Inn, a historic mansion converted into a bed and breakfast, is another location steeped in paranormal lore. Guests have shared stories of hearing mysterious footsteps in empty hallways, feeling sudden touches, and seeing shadowy figures appear in rooms. Some have reported waking to find objects inexplicably moved, or even hearing voices calling their names. The inn's history, filled with tales of wealth, tragedy, and loss, seems to have left an indelible mark on the property, allowing spirits from the past to linger among the living. Savannah's city market and surrounding historic district are also known for ghostly encounters. Even during daylight hours, visitors have reported seeing shadowy figures, hearing unexplained noises, and feeling sudden chills while walking along the cobblestone streets. Many local businesses embrace their haunted reputation offering ghost tours and nighttime investigations for tourists eager to explore Savannah's eerie side. The city's combination of rich history, preserved architecture, and tragic events creates a perfect environment for paranormal activity, making it a haven for those fascinated by the supernatural. One of the most chilling stories comes from the Marshall House, a historic hotel in downtown Savannah. During the Civil War, the building served as a hospital, and it is said that many soldiers died within its walls. Today, guests report hearing the groans of the sick and dying, seeing shadowy figures in period clothing, and experiencing sudden cold spots in otherwise warm rooms. Some guests have claimed to see ghostly soldiers wandering the hallways, or even witnessed spectral figures standing by their beds. The Marshall House stands as a grim reminder of the city's bloody history, with the spirits of the past refusing to rest quietly. Another famous haunted spot is Colonial Park Cemetery, which dates back to the 18th century. The cemetery contains unmarked graves, historical monuments, and weathered tombstones that have become focal points for ghost sightings. Visitors have reported seeing ghostly processions, hearing whispers in empty sections, and experiencing feelings of intense dread. The cemetery's combination of age, tragic deaths, and historical significance makes it one of Savannah's most compelling haunted locations. Even everyday streets and alleys in Savannah are said to harbor supernatural energy. Factors. Walk, a historic waterfront street, is notorious for ghost sightings and inexplicable phenomena. Shadows flit across the cobblestones, eerie voices echo from empty warehouses, and passers-by report a sense of being watched. Locals often avoid wandering the area alone at night, respecting the stories that have been passed down for generations. Savannah's haunted reputation has made it a mecca for paranormal enthusiasts, ghost hunters, and thrill seekers. Guided tours, overnight investigations, and personal accounts have cemented the city's status as one of the most haunted in America. The combination of historical tragedies, preserved architecture, and the town's atmospheric environment ensures that Savannah's spirits remain both visible and palpable to those sensitive to the supernatural. Ultimately, Savannah, Georgia, is a city where history and the paranormal coexist in a hauntingly tangible way. Its historic homes, cemeteries, streets, and hotels are alive with stories of tragedy, loss, and unrest. The spirits that linger in Savannah are not content to fade quietly. They manifest, interact, and terrify, leaving an indelible impression on all who encounter them. For those brave enough to explore this southern city, Savannah promises an unforgettable journey into a world where the past never truly dies. Number 10. Shepherdstown, West Virginia. Shepherdstown, West Virginia is a small historic town with cobblestone streets, centuries-old buildings, and a deep sense of history that few visitors immediately notice. On the surface, it seems like a peaceful and quaint place, perfect for a quiet weekend getaway or a stroll through charming historic districts. However, beneath the town's picturesque exterior lies a reputation for paranormal activity and ghostly encounters that have spanned generations. Stories of haunted homes, restless spirits, and inexplicable phenomena have earned Shepherdstown a place among the most haunted towns in the United States. The town's rich history contributes heavily to its supernatural reputation. Founded in the 18th century, Shepherdstown is West Virginia's oldest town, and it has been witness to countless events, tragedies, and human suffering over the centuries. From battles fought in nearby areas to personal tragedies and untimely deaths within the town itself, the past seems to linger here, manifesting in ghostly apparitions and unexplained disturbances. Locals and visitors alike have reported sightings of shadowy figures, hearing whispers in empty hallways, and experiencing cold spots or sudden chills in homes and historic buildings. One of the most haunted locations in Shepherdstown is the Rumsey House, a historic inn that has stood for over 2 centuries. Guests and paranormal investigators have shared stories of hearing footsteps echoing through empty corridors, doors opening and closing on their own, and ghostly figures appearing in hallways or watching from windows. Some visitors claim to have felt invisible touches or sudden drops in temperature while exploring the building. The Rumsey House's combination of age, historical significance, and tragic past makes it a focal point for those drawn to the supernatural. Another hotspot for hauntings is the Shepherd University campus, where numerous reports of ghostly encounters have emerged over the years. Dormitories, lecture halls, and older administrative buildings are said to be frequented by spirits of students and faculty who lived and worked there long ago. People have reported hearing faint music, whispers, and laughter in empty rooms, as well as sightings of full-bodied apparitions in period clothing. Many claim that these spirits appear at night, quietly observing or interacting with the living in ways that are both subtle and chilling. The town's historic downtown area also holds a reputation for paranormal activity. Streets lined with old brick buildings, antique shops, and cafes are often the sites of unexplained phenomena. Shadowy figures are reported moving across the sidewalks, cold drafts sweep through buildings without cause, and disembodied voices have been heard echoing in narrow alleys. Tour guides often highlight these stories, offering visitors ghost tours that recount the town's haunted history and chilling encounters with spirits. One of the most frequently told stories involves a local Victorian-era home where multiple tragedies occurred over the decades. The house is said to be haunted by the spirits of past residents, some of whom met violent or untimely deaths. Witnesses report hearing crying, footsteps in empty rooms, and objects moving without explanation. Some claim to have seen ghostly figures at windows or wandering through the hallways, often vanishing when approached. These reports have contributed to the house's reputation as one of the most haunted properties in Shepherdstown. Cemeteries in and around Shepherdstown are also central to the town's haunted reputation. Shepherdstown Cemetery, with its aged tombstones and quiet pathways, is said to be home to restless spirits. Visitors have reported seeing apparitions, hearing voices, and feeling an overwhelming sense of unease while walking among the graves. Cold spots and sudden changes in temperature are common experiences, adding to the cemetery's eerie atmosphere. Many believe that these spirits are connected to the town's turbulent history, refusing to move on even after death. Historical events in the region contribute further to the town's spectral activity. Shepherdstown was near important Civil War sites, and many soldiers are believed to haunt the area. Locals often recount seeing ghostly figures dressed in period military attire along roads, fields, and in historic buildings. Some claim to have witnessed spectral reenactments of battles or faint sounds of marching and gunfire, which vanish as mysteriously as they appear. Even local businesses and inns report supernatural encounters. Patrons of older establishments often share stories of sudden cold drafts, objects moving on their own, and shadowy figures appearing in hallways. Some employees have described hearing footsteps when no one else is present, or seeing fleeting apparitions in mirrors and windows. These occurrences are widely acknowledged by the community, with many residents viewing them as part of Shepherdstown's historic charm and paranormal allure. Shepherdstown's haunted reputation has made it a magnet for ghost hunters, paranormal enthusiasts, and tourists seeking a chilling experience. Guided tours, overnight stays in historic inns, and investigative excursions into allegedly haunted locations offer visitors a chance to witness the town's eerie phenomena firsthand. From historic homes and university buildings to cobblestone streets and old cemeteries, the town provides an immersive glimpse into a world where the past and present intertwine in supernatural ways. In conclusion, Shepherdstown, West Virginia, is a town where history and the paranormal coexist in an uncanny balance. Its historic homes, university campus, streets, and cemeteries are alive with stories of tragedy, restless spirits, and unexplained events. Locals and visitors alike have borne witness to these eerie occurrences, which continue to shape the town's identity as one of America's most haunted locations. For those willing to explore its haunted corners, Shepherdstown offers an unforgettable encounter with the supernatural, where every shadow and whisper hints at the presence of those who came before. As we wrap up this spine-chilling journey through the most haunted towns, graveyards, hotels, and historical sites across North Carolina, the southern United States, and beyond, it's impossible not to feel the lingering presence of the past. From restless spirits wandering cobblestone streets to apparitions silently watching from windows, these locations serve as haunting reminders that the boundary between the living and the dead is thinner than we might imagine. Each story, each legend, and each first-hand encounter paints a vivid picture of a world where the paranormal is not just folklore, but a persistent, tangible reality. Exploring these haunted places is more than just a thrill. It's a step into history, a confrontation with the unknown, and a chance to experience the eerie, mysterious side of our world. Whether it's the creaking floorboards of a centuries-old mansion, the cold, empty corridors of a haunted hospital, or the shadowy figures seen in deserted towns, the stories you've read are reminders that the spirits of the past never truly leave us. They linger in the places we inhabit, whispering their tales to those brave enough to listen. If today's journey through haunted towns, murder houses, graveyards, and eerie hotels has sent chills down your spine, there is so much more waiting for you. Ghost stories, paranormal investigations, and haunted histories offer endless fascination for those captivated by the supernatural. These tales encourage us to question the unseen, to explore the unknown, and to respect the mysteries that surround us. Now, it's your turn to join the conversation. Share your thoughts on these haunted locations. Comment if you've ever experienced something paranormal, and let others know which haunted sites intrigue or terrify you the most. Don't forget to like this content if it gave you goosebumps. Share it with friends who love ghost stories and supernatural mysteries. And subscribe to stay updated with more terrifying journeys into the world of the haunted and unexplained. Every like, share, and subscription helps keep the spirit of these stories alive, ensuring that the legends, ghostly encounters, and chilling mysteries continue to reach thrill seekers, paranormal enthusiasts, and history lovers alike. Keep your curiosity alive, but remember to tread carefully, because in the world of the haunted, you never know what or who might be watching. Engage with us, explore the stories further, and never stop seeking the unknown. From the haunted towns of North Carolina to the chilling murder houses across the globe, the supernatural is always closer than you think. Like, share, and subscribe to dive even deeper into the spine-tingling, mysterious, and horrifying tales that keep our world filled with both wonder and fear. Your next encounter with the paranormal could be just a story away.